A few weeks ago, I found myself caught in the middle of a hailstorm when I was getting ready to make lunch. So I threw up a quick tarp shelter, had a great afternoon, but the one thing I realized is I'm in some desperate need of practice when it comes to tarp shelters. It's amazing how if you don't use the skill, you tend to lose the skill. So that's what we're gonna do today. I've got a 9x10 tarp that's been sitting in my shed. I've got the 4 tent stakes it came with and 4 lengths of 12-foot paracord. And we're gonna see how many different configurations we can come up with in just a couple of minutes. The first configuration is about as basic can go. I used 1 piece of line, attached it to a tree, and 3 tent stakes. Once you get down inside, you can see there's plenty of room for you and all of your gear you could potentially need. This is a great emergency shelter. If you need to do something quick and you're not too worried about the layout, this is a fantastic solution. The scoop of the roof is a great way of getting water to run off. If you need a little bit more securement, you can always place a trekking pole or a stick in the center, which will elevate the roof line, or you can attach a piece of paracord to the exterior and you can lift it up and tie it to another tree. A great option. It took me about 3 minutes to set up. So configuration number 2 is just a traditional wedge. Now this is a very simple setup utilizing the ridgeline tie-outs, trekking poles, and a whole lot of rocks just because it's a very rocky area. You'll notice this configuration is fantastic if you need a lot of space. It's great if you're camping out because you can lay out your air mattress, your sleeping bag, and still have plenty of room for your whole kit. This would be a great way to spend an afternoon in any kind of a rainstorm. I would caution though, you'll want to make sure you really secure your tie downs if there's any kind of wind. This tent is pretty lightweight, which means the wind's going to really affect it. So ensure your tie downs are really secure and make sure you've got things stretched out properly. For our next tarp configuration, all we're going to do is remove the trekking poles and lower it to the ground. And that's going to put it into more of a traditional A-frame tent style. That's great if the weather turns bad on you quickly. Inside, there is a ton of space. This tarp configuration gives you a good 4.5 feet of headroom, plenty of space to spread out on the sides if you're going to sleep or camp out for the night. And the beauty of having it open on both ends is you get a lot of extra airflow. So moisture buildup isn't going to be nearly as big of an issue. This C configuration gives the best protection from the elements, and the fact that it gives us a ground cloth in order to place our bags on or sit on if it's a wet or rainy day. It also gives great protection from any rain coming from above, but it's wide open on the sides, which does allow for any wind to blow through. It's certainly not going to keep you warm, but it will keep you dry. I would say probably the biggest drawback to this configuration is obviously the limited head space. Because of the fact that we're using our tarp as a floor and a roof line, it certainly restricts a lot of that head capacity. But in a pinch, this is a great setup on a very wet afternoon. So for our Bushcraft fans out there, I think you're going to like this next configuration. We're going to take our C configuration, drop the side down, and build more of a bivvy style tarp shelter. This is great for stealth camping or if you just want to keep a low profile. The one thing that is very limited is obviously the head space. Like a bivvy, you're going to be crawling in and crawling out of it. There isn't a whole lot of room for changing clothes, and I certainly wouldn't recommend cooking. But if you're trying to get out of the elements and keep a low profile, this is a great option. Obviously, not a load of headroom in here, but this is a fantastic way to sleep outside without a big profile. This tarp configuration is great for letting the rain flow away. It keeps you protected from the ground, and it's quite stealthy in the long run. Tarp shelter expert? By no means. But I do think with a little bit more practice, I can take these 5 basic shelters and make them a pretty comfortable and confident setup for me next time I'm in the backcountry. So until next time, folks, let's get out there and go have an adventure.